Hi, this is Matt McLeod from Crank Engineering. I'm here at the Custom Commune Workshop in Melbourne with Micro from Saint Moto behind the camera. And we're starting a series of videos on basic motorcycle maintenance. And today we're going to be talking about inspections and inspecting your motorcycle before you ride it. And we'll cover subsequent topics in other videos. So let's get right into it. The purpose of an inspection is to find something wrong with your motorcycle so it doesn't cause you a problem while you're on the road. So the objective is to have a look, find something and fix it. You're looking for problems, and problems on your motorcycle might be loose parts, loose bolts, might be parts that are rubbing together that shouldn't be, might be cracks, it might be something that's missing, might be fluid leaks, it might be too much grease or not enough grease, basic things like tyre inflation levels, oil levels, all that sort of good stuff. So I have a bit of a system, and I start from the front of this motorcycle and work to the back, so we'll go through my normal process and we'll look at some of the things that I look at on a motorcycle. So this particular Harley Davidson Ironhead Sportster is my own bike. I've had it about 8 weeks, so I'm still learning about this motorcycle and I'm finding things that are wrong with it all the time. So we'll go through that process today. One thing I would like to mention is your factory service manual. With an old motorcycle, it really is a big help to have a factory service manual. So if you can pick up one of these from eBay or Amazon, it makes your life a lot better. It has all the factory measurements, all the factory procedures, the tooling. Even though you might not have the tooling, you might be able to make something that does the same job. So factory service manual, highly recommended. Okay, so let's start from the front of the motorcycle. First thing I'm looking at on my motorcycle are the tyres. So we're looking at the condition of the tread. Is there anything caught in the tread, stones or nails or screws or any other material stuck in here which may cause a leak? I'm also looking at the sidewalls of the tyres. I'm looking for cracks or damage from impact. These ones look okay. I'm looking at the tread depth as well. How much tread do I have available to me? And these tyres are in very good condition. The other thing you need to check is your inflation pressures. So you've got to make sure you've got the tyres at the right inflation pressure. So that information might be in your factory service manual or on a sticker on your bike somewhere. After the tyre, I'm looking at the general condition of the spokes. I don't see any broken ones in this particular instance. I'm also looking at the brake disc. This is a twin disc setup, so I'm looking at both brake discs and I'm running my fingernail across the surface of the disc. I'm looking for any deep scratches. Might indicate metal to metal wear caused by the worn out brake pad. These discs are in pretty good condition. I'm also looking at the axle areas, and on this particular motorcycle there's an oil seal on both sides, so I'm looking for anything leaking out of here. These are grease-filled hubs, so you might see some grease that's leaked out if the oil seals are a problem. Next, I'm looking at the brake calipers on both sides. I'm looking for fluid leaks from the lines or from the bleeder. These bleeders obviously haven't got a cap, they've gone missing at some point. I'm looking along the disc at the brake pads and looking at how much brake pad material I've got available to me. So I'm in good shape on both of these. These calipers are floating as well, so I'm also making sure they're not jammed up, so there is a little bit of movement on the caliper slides on both sides. So moving up from the brakes, I'm looking up the forks. In this particular case, obviously this motorcycle's got a leaking fork seal on the left hand side here. You can see here from a slight line where the forks compress into past the seal, and this oil's drawn back up past it. Once you've got oil there, from road grime and everything sticks to it, so it's quite obvious where the leak is. These forks will need to be removed at some point and rebuilt with new seals, but I'm happy to run that for now, and we'll do that job another day. So I'm also looking at the surface of the forks. I'm looking for any pitting or damage in the chrome or any rust marks as well, and what will happen is they'll go past the seal and they'll damage the seal if they're allowed to progress too far. So these fork tubes are in pretty good condition, so I'm pretty happy with that. Moving up a little further, I'm looking at the headlight condition. There's no cracks in this headlight, that's good. The gauges, the cables are all firm. I'm moving around to the controls now. The handlebars are firm in the clamps. There's no obvious damage to the gauges. I'm going to turn on the ignition. Dash lights are all working fine. The headlights working fine. We'll check the high beam as well. So high beam is good. I've got the high beam light on the Speedo is working fine. So on this side we've also got the clutch release. So I'm squeezing the clutch and checking that it springs back. There's a spring mechanism in the clutch cover, so that looks fine. And I'll move around to the other side. On this side, throttle control, what I'm looking for is the throttle to return immediately back to its closed position via the springs and the carburetor. So that returns back to the closed position just fine. Front brake, I'll give it a squeeze, it's not sponging, so it is getting harder as I squeeze harder. So that front brake looks okay. Condition of the lines, this particular one, as I bought it, it's got quite a significant twist in it here, which I'm not really happy about. I'll replace that at some point. We'll get some cracks in here eventually if we leave it like this. Okay, other controls, horns good. Turn signals left and right. This bike hasn't got any front indicators, so we'll check on the rear. Left hand indicator, right hand indicator, all good. So lights and everything are working, so I'm happy there. I'll turn off the ignition. Okay, from here I'm going to move further around towards the rear of the bike. So the next point to look at is the steering neck. So this assembly is clamped together with a nut on the top, so making sure that there's nothing missing, the nut's still there. There's no grease, these bearings are grease lubricated. I don't see any grease in here. I don't see any problems there. I'm having a quick look at the frame. I don't see any cracks, I don't see any missing fasteners. I'm moving down the frame. I'm looking at the engine mount bolts. The engine mount bolts are in place. All the bolts are here. If there's one missing, it would be pretty obvious, so I'm just having a quick look around at what's here. Now, we're pretty lucky here, we've got the bike on a stand, so it's very easy to have a look under the bike and what sort of condition we've got here, whether we have any oil leaks, that's where you'll find them. And the bike's a bit grotty, but there's no obvious oil leaks from the plugs, the drain plugs. Okay, exhaust, firm, pegs firm. Rear brake, you can see the rear brake's actuating the drum just fine. So that's working right, there's nothing else missing. Air cleaner's firm. There's no leaks from the fuel petcock. I don't see any fuel leaks around the carburetor. Manifold clamps are all in place. Okay, we can check the oil level in the oil tank on this particular bike. Normally you want to get a rag and just in case, give that a wipe and then we'll drop that in. Okay, put it home. Okay, oil level's good, right at the full level. So we're good to start the engine. Get this oil cap on, there we go. Okay, rear exhaust, firm. This came off the other day and I had to spend a fair bit of time getting that back on again. And it was very noisy with the exhaust off. So the exhaust mounts are all good. Foot pegs good. Suspension, rear suspension is in place. Bolts are all here. The seat isn't coming off. Indicators are firm. Chain guard's in place in this particular bike. Okay, in the rear of the motorcycle, this particular bike, I'm looking at the spokes just quickly. This bike had a broken spoke the other day, so this is my spare wheel, so you can find these if you're looking for them. So that looks in pretty good condition. I know the rear brake's in good condition because I just changed this wheel a couple of weeks ago, so the brake shoes are in good condition. That's not something you can check very quickly on a bike like this. Okay, same thing, the rear hub's got bearings in it and grease, so I don't see any grease leaking out of here. So these are all okay, the other side's okay as well. Obviously there's some grease and oil on the rear wheel, that's from the chain lubricant that's sprayed up onto the wheel. No big deal, that'll wash off. Continue around the left side, suspension's okay. The swing arm pivot, I'm just going to have a quick look, not that you can see very much on this bike, but everything's in place. Regulator's in good shape. The battery hold down is firm. Pegs, gear shift. Got a slight oil leak from this particular screw hole here, which I clean this bike regularly, so I know when it happens. You can see a little bit of oil weeping from out of this particular screw hole. To repair that would mean taking the cover off, cleaning all the sealant off and reinstalling it. You know, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm just going to keep an eye on the oil level. Other than that, we move around, plug leads are on well, they're all secure, tank's secure with the bolts, seat mounting bolts are all good. Engine mounts are good. Nothing's obviously missing. So at this point, I'm pretty happy. I know I've got a couple of problems. I've got a weeping fork seal. I've got a slight leak from the screw here on the clutch cover. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with the bike at this point. So in the next video, we'll talk about wheels and tyres in a little bit more detail. See you next time. If